All right, hello class, and welcome to week 14, the video round 2, I guess, since that the first post that I had, the audio didn't work. Sorry about that. And so today what I want to be talking about is I want to talk about Project 4 and kind of what we're going to be doing with it this week. But really what we're going to be spending our time on is looking at how we're going to be using Project 3 that you just completed to kind of help bolster up your argument in Project 4. And so I'm going to spend most of this video talking about revision practices, things that you can do to figure out how to bring Project 3 into Project 4, what you should be looking for, things like that. So before we begin, let's take a look for this week, or this week's schedule. You'll notice that it's pretty much wide open except for Project 4, because again, our focus is on completing this kind of last major project because we are in the last couple weeks of the semester. So to begin with, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be revising sections of Project 3 to use in Project 4. With that, we're going to be uploading a draft of Project 4 to your peer review groups, and then we're going to be doing some peer response on those. So with that in mind, I want to focus on what I mean when I say revise sections of Project 3 to fit in Project 4. Now, if you go back and look at the walkthrough video that I posted, you'll notice that large chunks, if not complete versions of like those students' literature reviews were pulled into Project 4. And the reason for that is basically what we've done is we've taken a normal research project in which you find research in order to support an argument of your making. And we've split that into two different projects. So essentially what you did in Project 3 was the research work that you would do for a normal project. And now we're going to come into Project 4 and to add your argument to it. And so to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to have to make sure that the elements of Project 3 that we want to use are able to fit in with this new context. And so we're going to have to begin with the idea that our goals have changed somewhat from Project 3 to Project 4. And therefore, we're going to have to make the essay change somewhat as well. And so what I want you guys to do as you think about how to use Project 3 to Project 4 is I want you to sit down with like a pen or paper on your computer or whatever and to write out your goals for Project 4. So if you remember, your goal here is to respond to the topic and the discussion that you just traced in Project 3 and to come up with some sort of new solution or new approach to the problem that those authors were discussing. And so essentially what your thesis will look like and what you've been working on is something like, I propose that X, Y, and Z happens, or I propose that so-and-so does something. And so your goal for Project 4 is to set up that argument. So what this means is that Project 3 and Project 4 differ in that regard. Whereas Project 3, your goal was to trace the conversation surrounding a certain topic. Project 4 is... the goal of Project 4 is to use that conversation in order to support that argument. And so what this means is that when you bring parts of Project 3 in, you have to make sure that you are making them fit this new idea. And the way that we're doing that is we're going to be focusing in on what are called HOCs, MOCs, and LOCs. Now these, that refers to high order concerns, middle order concerns, and low order concerns. Now what this is a good way to scaffold your approach to any sort of revision process. So anytime you're doing peer review, or anytime you're looking at your own work, or anytime you're getting ready to submit something, it's a good idea to take this scaffold and use it to look at your own work to make sure that you're doing all the right things. Now, if we want to break it down, what this basically does is it gives us a way to go through a paper or document or assignment or whatever it is you're writing in the most effective way possible. So essentially what we're talking about when we're talking about high order concerns is this is going to be the first thing you look at when you're doing any kind of revision or editing or anything like that. Middle order concerns will be the second then, and low order concerns will be the third. And the reason they're structured in such a way is because if this stuff up here, if there's a problem with this stuff up here, then fixing this stuff down here would just be a waste of time because it might all change when you address the bigger issues. So these are like the big issues, this is the small picture stuff. And so let's take a look. When we're talking about high order concerns, what we're talking about is the ideas, the general sense of the assignment, the purpose of it, the organization, etc. The things that are really the most important foundational elements of your paper, right? Are the ideas there? Do they make sense? Are you meeting the purpose of the assignment? Is it organized well? All of these things that have to be in place, regardless of spelling and verb tense and things like that. And so what you're going to be doing is when you go into your product 3 with a mind to use elements, if not all of it, for product 4, then you have to go in there with this high order concern. You have to remember that, okay, what I need to do now is I need to think about how I can make this stuff fit my new purpose. And so what you'll do is you'll take your thesis, the I propose, that proposal statement, and you'll use that as the lens to go back in there. So if you have the idea that, look, my goal, my purpose is to propose this idea, I need to go in and make sure that this literature review is supporting that. And so in other words, you need to make sure that the proposal that you're coming up with is related to and builds off of the things that you just discussed in your literature review. And that's what it should be. That's why we do the literature review. So it shouldn't be, my literature review is focused on, the Flint water crisis, but my proposal is about like education reform. Like you could make a related argument about education and health and all these things, but the two do not directly relate. The one doesn't build off of the other. So what you should be doing is if you're talking about, say, the Flint water crisis, your proposal should be about the Flint water crisis. Again, I'm sure that seems obvious to you guys, but it's just something that it's good to reinforce. So in other words, you're going to take your proposal back into your lit review, and you're going to look for those sections that are supporting that idea. And those are the sections that you're going to want to pull out and use. Now, you might find that all of it fits. You might find that only half of it fits. It's completely up to you. But the idea is that what you do use in your product 4 should be directly related to your proposal idea. So the other thing we need to make sure is we need to make sure that your ideas, once you've pulled them out and you're going to use them in product 4, that they're organized well. To make sure that you are introducing the topic, to make sure that you are giving your reader a logical kind of step from the beginning discussion of the topic towards your proposal idea. And so what that means is making sure that if you're cutting things out of your literature review or adding things or whatever it is you're doing, that it's building in a coherent and logical way. Essentially, does the paper make sense is what we're looking for. So once you've done that, once you've gone in there and found the elements of the assignment that you want to use in product 4, then we can start to focus in on these other things. So once you pull them in, we can start to look at the mid and the low order concerns. For example, we can think about the syntax or the diction or the formality to make sure that you're using the appropriate tone of voice, of writing style and things like that to do something like a objective proposal. So I noted this in some of your projects before, that at times students have a tendency to slip into that first-person narrative, especially when they're not comfortable with the topic that they're discussing. They slip into this, well, this is what I found and I thought and I believe. Now for this, I'm going to want you to try to maintain that objective tone that stays away from the first person, because remember, you're trying to be an expert in the field. And so instead of talking about your experience with this topic, I want you to stay focused on like the ideas and the research and things like that. So once we have all that, then we can go back in and look at the low order stuff to make sure your spelling is okay, your capitalization, MLA style, etc., etc. So essentially what this is a way for you to go into your Project 3 to find the sections that would work best for to support your proposal idea, and to make sure that they're functioning well in functioning well in terms of your new goal. So what I want you to try to do for your draft then is to try to find those elements of Product 3. And so what I'm going to be looking for in a draft is for you to pull that introduction that you've already been working on, to put that together with the elements of Product 3 that you want to use, and then to insert your proposal idea at the bottom of it. So what that'll do is it'll give you kind of a coherent idea of what this proposal is going to look like. So you'll have your introduction, which absolutely could be a revision of your lit review introduction. You'll have your introduction that is setting up the topic, is telling us why it's an important topic. Moving into the literature review, giving us a clear outline of how people have addressed this issue before, or what the current state of this issue is. And then your proposal idea, which comes in and builds off of that, either by extending someone's idea, coming up with a new idea, or proposing new research and saying that we don't have enough. Whatever it is that you want to say in your proposal idea will determine what you use from Project 3. And so if your idea is to disagree with what's been done so far and to propose a new idea, you're going to want to make sure that you're pulling a lot of stuff out of your literature review to say, this is the stuff that I don't think has worked so far, and this is what I think we can do now. Or if your idea is to say that we don't have enough information and you're proposing some sort of new research or approach to the topic, or if you're saying, look, we need to learn more about this topic before we can come up with a solution, then you're going to want to pull a lot of that stuff out of your literature review that shows us how people have done it so far. And what essentially you'll say is like, look, even though we have all of this good stuff, it's still not enough to go on to come up with a good solution. And so that's why I want you to use your proposal idea as the lens to go back in there, because that'll help you address those kind of high order concerns, your purpose, and things like that. So just to be clear, what I'm looking for in this draft, I'm looking for the introduction. I'm looking for your literature review coming into this. And you might find that the entirety of your literature review works, but I'm guessing that you're going to have to be, or I'm not guessing, you will have to do some revision to make it work in this new context. And so that's what I'm looking for. So I'm going to be looking for those elements of revision. And then I'm looking for you to come in and insert your research proposal idea. Now, what I'd like you to do as kind of a caveat to that is when you're pulling your lit review into this draft, I'd like you to highlight sections that you are revising or that you have revised, just to help you see where those revisions are coming in. And so in your Word document, you can just use that, that highlight idea. So I'd like you to highlight those parts of the lit review that you are revising or going to revise, and just to help you see where those are coming in. All right, guys, if you have any questions or any concern or anything like that, obviously feel free to email me, set up a Skype conversation. I'm always here for you. And other than that, I will be in touch soon. Oh, as a last note, and I'll also be sending out an email and another video about this. You should have received an email regarding the student evaluation form. So online classes, they're done online, obviously. And so that email should have gone out either yesterday or the day before. And so keep an eye open for that, and please take the time to do that. Now I want to talk for a second about what those are. Essentially, what those allow me to do is they allow me to improve this class. They give me good feedback about what students are getting out of this or what things that could be improved upon. So they really help me improve the nature of this class for future classmates. Your evaluations also factor into my rating as a teacher as well. So why I like to have a lot of students do these things is so that my employers and my boss and my colleagues and we can all get a good sense of how we're doing as teachers. So it really is helpful for us. So I ask you to please take the time, take this seriously, and I would very much appreciate it. All right, guys, I will be in touch soon. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will talk to you later.